The Jade Cargill storyline just received a small, yet very important detail that some fans missed. So we'll dive deep into that and theorize about where it could be going. For the February 21st edition of SmackDown, this storyline's big moment of progression was supposed to take place with the matchup of Liv Morgan versus Naomi. However, this match ended up being cancelled due to The Rock's last-second return being announced. But instead of being fully cancelled, they still had all four women come out to the ring, but Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez jumped out from under the ring and delivered an ambush attack on Naomi and Bianca. So the match was cancelled and shortened down into this brief attack moment, but it's still a good moment to push the narrative forward. Naomi and Bianca have been throwing strong accusations in recent weeks towards Liv and Raquel for being the alleged attackers behind the Jade Cargill situation. Us, the audience, are well aware that Liv and Raquel are not responsible for the attack on Jade Cargill, but strangely enough, what Liv and Raquel did on SmackDown this week feeds Naomi and Bianca's narrative of them being behind the attack. Now, Bianca and Naomi can point even more fingers towards Liv and Raquel and say that the same way Liv and Raquel ambushed them is probably the same way Liv and Raquel ambushed Jade Cargill. So if anything, this SmackDown attack from Liv and Raquel is going to give Bianca and Naomi more reason and more ammo to blame them for the recent events that happened with Jade Cargill. And after all this went down, we get another pretty significant moment. Nick Aldis kicks Liv Morgan and Raquel out of the arena for what they did to Naomi and Bianca. But if you notice, even Nick Aldis blamed them for the attack on Jade Cargill as he was kicking them out. So even the SmackDown general manager is buying the false narrative that Liv and Raquel were behind the attack. Liv and Raquel have not flat out denied being the attackers on television up until this point, and that's something we touched on earlier in the week, and said that they probably are not denying it because they want other women in the division to wonder if they did it, so that they can be feared in the locker room. But on a recent appearance this week on the No Contest Wrestling podcast, Liv Morgan flat out denied being behind the Jade Cargill attack. Liv said it should probably be common sense, because Liv always brags and boasts about everything that she does. She listed examples about reportedly talking about how she stole everything from Rhea Ripley and how she retired Becky Lynch. So that if Liv did do the attack, she said she would have been bragging about it since the moment it took place in November. So the denial didn't happen on screen, but it did happen off screen on a podcast. But now let's back things up to Naomi and Bianca Belair's pre-match interview from SmackDown, because this is where the hidden little clue was at. Bianca Belair and Naomi are talking about how great it feels to start getting to the bottom of what happened to Jade Cargill. But then Bianca Belair slips in a line about how Jade Cargill has not been responding to any of her text messages. Bianca Belair says that Jade isn't responding because of her medical conditions and because she's still recovering. Now here's where things get pretty funny. Bianca Belair claims that Jade Cargill still isn't well enough to pick up her phone and respond to a text message. Yet, Jade Cargill's been posting pictures of herself on the beach and in photo shoots over the last few weeks. And Jade has typed out plenty of full sentences using her cell phone on Twitter and Instagram. So what exactly is going on here? If Jade Cargill is able to do all these things and literally respond to all of her other friends in the comment section of her recent posts, why can't she respond to Bianca Belair's text? That's where the plot thickens. You go to Jade's social media pages and there's nothing there but great evidence of her being in well enough condition to answer simple text messages. So the fact that Jade Cargill hasn't bothered to text back Bianca surely makes you raise another eyebrow and ask several questions. Also notice how Naomi didn't mention this line about Jade Cargill not answering her texts. It was specifically Bianca Belair who said that her own personal texts are not receiving any response from Jade. So does that mean that Jade Cargill knows something that we don't know, or is at least suspicious of something that we don't fully know about at this moment? If a friend is checking in on you after something like that happened, you're most likely going to shoot them a text and let them know that you're okay. But if you're suspecting that that friend yourself did the attack, or playing a big role in getting you set up in the first place, you're most likely going to ignore their text and deal with the matter when you see them face to face. And that's why Jade not answering the text from Bianca makes us here on WrestlingWorldCC think that Jade Cargill is extremely suspicious of Bianca Belair being behind everything. And like we've been saying from the start of this story, maybe Jade Cargill herself saw something. Saw some identifiable thing on the body of the person that attacked her. Because go back to the scene of Jade's attack. Jade Cargill fell on her back onto the car windshield, meaning that she wasn't just shoved from behind. The attacker had to be face to face with Jade on that upper platform at some point. Maybe there was a struggle, and that attacker pushed Jade in her chest off the upper platform and onto the lower parking lot area, meaning that Jade had to see something before she blacked out. Maybe it was the eyes, hair, just something that saw in the final moments before hitting the car that she remembers and is holding on to that part of her own investigation. So by Jade not answering Bianca's text, but openly communicating with everyone else, that should raise some giant red flags. This small hidden line in this interview about the unanswered text could be the biggest clue we've had to date, that Bianca is the attacker and that Jade knows it and suspects it. So that's just a big strange detail about this entire storyline. Bianca, Naomi, and Jade are best of friends, extremely close with each other, but both sides haven't exchanged a single word with each other since before the attack happened back in November. Why isn't Jade responding to her text? Why isn't Naomi and Bianca making stronger attempts to check up on Jade? Those are the questions that this story is creating right now, and the only logical explanation within the story for lack of communication amongst the three women is that Jade Cargill wants nothing to do with Naomi and Bianca because of something she knows about the attack and hasn't shared with the world yet. That seems to be the only reasoning behind why Jade Cargill has made herself impossible to reach for Bianca and Naomi. If Jade knows or was even suspicious that Liv and Raquel was behind the attack, she wouldn't be leaving Bianca and Naomi in the dark like this. She's leaving them in the dark to keep them on their toes and eventually pop up and confront them to their faces unexpectedly. And we assume the truth is gonna come out. So the next big question to ask is, when will Jade Cargill make this appearance to confront Bianca and Naomi with her surprise return? Well, reports still didn't seem to have an exact time frame for Jade Cargill's return, but the word on the street at this moment is that Jade Cargill has been constantly at the Performance Center in recent days, training for her upcoming return. Reports claim that a WrestleMania season return is most likely for Jade Cargill. They claim that Jade Cargill is ready to return. It's the creative plans and the story around her attack that are being finalized right now and setting up her comeback. So strap in, because the clues are becoming more frequent, and we could see this case with the Jade Cargill attacker just blow wide open any day now. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.